Today I've been experimenting with expandable foam insulation as a texture for paintings and art in general. So there were two different types of leftovers where there was only a little bit left, so I used it for this experiment. We have Loctite foam, and that is white right out of the can. And then we have Great Stuff, which comes out kind of yellowy tan right out of the can. And what I was trying to find out here was if I spray it in different textures and let it kind of dry and expand without doing anything to it to manipulate it, what will it look like in the end? And I've done that on both. So far, I like that the Loctite ends up with this kind of smooth like shell over the top. It looks a lot smoother even as it dries, and it remains pillowy. This has been about 10 minutes and it's still got some give. And then the Loctite has kind of a texture still over the top. This one looks sort of smooth. Still pillowy after 10 minutes also. Whoa! And then the three that I experimented with today are over here. They're going to dry, and then I'm going to do more to them each day. But what I've noticed in the maybe half hour since that I've put the spray foam on them is that here the Loctite is very firmed up and hardened and cured already. And you can see that it shows a lot of the air bubbles in terms of texture when dry. So maybe that has some implications that are really good, like water scenes perhaps, oceans. And then I mixed it with acrylic paint just with a palette knife as I put it on here, and it sort of stayed where I put it if there was paint mixed in, so that's good to note. Okay. So in some parts I mixed it with paint, some I didn't, with interesting results. On this one I used Great Stuff, as well as some paints, and then this one foamed up a lot higher, and it's still pretty pillowy. This one was first, so maybe about an hour ago. And I do want to play around with the idea of letting it become pillowy like this, and then squishing some air out, seeing if it pops back, and if it doesn't, and if I need to like cut a hole in it. There's so much to learn when experimenting with a new material. Okay, so very pillowy and smooth on the top, unlike the Loctite, which is not smooth on the top, although it is sort of in some parts, like here where I didn't mess with it once it started drying. And then finally, Loctite with parts that I smushed down when it was just the right amount of dry. This one still kind of is. So it's like, it's pillowy after about a half hour or so, and you can smush it, and it creates just a different, also fun texture. Sometimes you can get like the wet foam inside to bubble out and then create another area of something else. Alright, so these will come together over the next few days, or, well, if we're being realistic, probably weeks. 3 hours later, excuse the noise of the wood shop next door. So after 3 hours, the Loctite is like fully cured, completely dry and very solid. It still retains the textured, bumpy look. And then on the other side you can see that it's completely dried and hardened. Whereas Great Stuff, it has some more give in comparison to the Loctite. This is very, very solid and, well, firm. And then this one still has some give. It dries with a smoother outer coating. So if that's something that is important to your process, this would be the preferred one. And then after 3 hours, it is still damp on the other side, even through the paper towel, and it's still back here very smushy. Let's see if we can pause. I already broke through the paper without gloves on. I'm going to regret that later. It's so sticky. But look, you can see that because this side had the protection of the paper towel, it's still oozy inside there. So that just tells me there's potential for even more ideas